Russell defines power as the ability to produce intended results. He identifies three types of main powers: traditional power, naked power, and revolutionary power. Power is defined as a possibility to influence others. The use of power has evolved from centuries. Gaining prestige, honor, and reputation is one of the central motives for gaining power in human nature. Russell is convinced that political force is required to protect people from tearing each other to pieces. But unlike him, he regards the best bet is democracy. Democracy has the limited virtue of making governments pay some attention to the welfare of the people. Only some. Power by Bertrand Russell. Those who read this book, they may discover a new way of seeing the world. When a moderate degree of comfort is assured, both individuals and communities will pursue power rather than wealth. They may seek wealth as a means to power. There are those who regard propaganda as the fundamental form of power. Propaganda, if it can create an almost unanimous opinion, can generate an irresistible power. The key to human nature that Karl Marx found in wealth and Sigmund Freud found in sex, Bertrand Russell finds in power. Power, he argues, is man's ultimate goal, the single most important element in the development of any society. Power for Russell is one's ability to achieve goals. In particular, Russell has in mind social power, that is, power over people. Love of power is the cause of the activities that are important in social affairs. That history, whether ancient or modern, can be rightly interpreted. Law is impotent unless it is generally respected. It might be said that opinion is the ultimate power in social affairs. Russell's view of human nature is somewhat pessimistic. By Russell's account, the desire to empower oneself is unique to human nature. In Russell's view, the love of power is nearly universal among people, although it takes on different guises from person to person. A person with great ambitions may become the next Caesar, but others may be content to merely dominate the home. Russell is interested in classifying the different ways in which one human being may have power over another, what he calls the forms of power. The forms may be subdivided into two: influence over persons and the psychological types of influence. When force is used in the absence of other forms, it is called naked power. In other words, naked power is the ruthless exertion of force without the desire for or attempt at consent. The fundamental concept of social science is power, in the same sense in which energy is the fundamental concept in physics. The technique of acquiring dictatorship over what has been a democracy has been familiar since Greek times and always involved the same mixture of bribery, propaganda, and violence. Russell sees clearly enough that the essential problem of today is the taming of power, and that no system except democracy can be trusted to save us from unspeakable horrors. Democracy has very little meaning without approximate economic equality and an educational system tending to promote tolerance. Russell is inclined to point to the past. All tyrannies have collapsed sooner or later. Underline, this is the idea that common sense always wins in the end. Russell points out that the huge system of organized lying upon which the dictators depend keeps their followers out of contact with reality and therefore tends to put them at a disadvantage as against those who know the facts. A very different type of character comes to the fore where power is achieved through learning or wisdom. Russell argued that the history of the world cannot be properly interpreted without recognizing the role played by the pursuit of power. The book is an argument that any explanation of historical events is meaningless without an understanding of the power motive, which was absent from most social theories. Bertrand Russell also points out that position of authority will be occupied by those who love power in an equal society where the pursuit of power is open to all. Those who want it more are more likely to get it. Traditional power, naked power, and revolutionary power. These are the three types of powers. Traditional power, which exists through force of habit. The example is organized religion, priestly power, and monarchy, kingly power. When traditional power decays without a new tradition to replace it, there may be no limitations to personal ambition. In such circumstances, naked power rises. Russell characterized naked power as that of butcher over the sheep. It requires no appeal to authority. It is usually military in nature. Russell cites examples of naked power such as Caesar and discuss how periods of naked power are brought to a close either by foreign invasion, stable dictatorship that become traditional. Naked power has its horrors: war, slavery, cruelty to children, religious persecution. He acknowledges that some naked power must exist to fight crime. He appeals for naked power to be kept at a minimum. Revolutionary power is power granted by popular assent of a majority, which is not naked, such as held by Washington. Russell provides four key examples from history: early Christianity, the Reformation, and the French and Russian Revolution. Russell argues that economic power is derivative since it relies heavily on other sources of power, such as the enforcement of law or public opinion. Russell argues on the love of power from which not much good comes. The good life is one inspired by love and guided by knowledge. Neither love without knowledge nor knowledge without love can produce a good life. Knowledge is good and ignorance is evil. In its beginning was due to men who were in love with the world. They perceived the beauty of the stars and the sea, of the winds and the mountain. It is not knowledge that is the source of the danger, nor is it power. What is dangerous is power wielded for the sake of power, not power wielded for the sake of genuine good. The leaders of the modern world are drunk with power. I don't think that one man has the right to legislate for another on this matter. For each individual, the ends of life are those things which he deeply desires and which, if they existed, would give him peace. In the conscious desires of the man who seeks power for its own sake, there is something dusty. The lover, the poet and the mystic find a fuller satisfaction than the seeker after power can even know. I think, therefore, that the satisfactions of the lover, using the world in its broadest sense, exceed the satisfaction of the tyrant and deserve a higher place among the ends of life. The purpose of government is not merely to afford pleasure to those who govern, but to make life tolerable for those who are governed.